Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A Black Girl's Odyssey. I'm your hostess, Breeze, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 top annoyances I have when taking a flight. But first things first, I need you to hit that like and subscribe button. I also need you to chime that notification bell so you will be aware of any videos I upload about my adventures in traveling. So, some of these things that we've talked about recently were how to prepare for an international flight. We also have spoken about how to make a flight more comfortable when traveling. Today, though, I'm going to be speaking, however, about the 5 things that annoy me when I'm taking a flight. So, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, starting with number 5. And the fifth thing is last minute delays. I understand that last minute delays can always be helped. There's various situations that happen where a flight is delayed. It could be that a plane is arriving late. Someone can be acting out on the plane. There can be a maintenance issue with the plane. These are various situations that can cause a delay. However, it's still like a gut punch when it happens because you have plans to do things when you get to your destination, or you just want to get to your destination so you can rest. However, that's not always the case. And sometimes, and this has happened to me before, I had a flight from Chicago to Arizona, and they actually had to cancel my flight. So I had to book an Airbnb for the night because I was not able to get a flight out that same day. And so I'm prepared for this each and every time I'm getting ready to fly. If you recall me mentioning in my previous video, I said that you should have some money set aside specifically if you have to rent a hotel or a motel or Airbnb for the night if your flight gets canceled. That's a possibility. But I'm not talking really about cancellations. I'm talking about delays. And that can be just as bad because if you had plans to arrive at your destination, let's say 3 p.m., and you don't get there till 8 o'clock, that's a whole 5-hour delay, especially when you have layovers and connected flights. So I can see, or maybe perhaps you can see, how that can be an annoyance, and I can't stand it. However, I try to keep that in the back of my mind that my flight could possibly be delayed. And it's something that can always be helped. So when you plan to fly, just keep in mind that your flight could possibly be delayed. So that's my 5th annoyance, is having my flight or last minute delays or cancellations. My 4th annoyance is, I know that this is none of my business, but it still is an annoyance, is how people trash the airplanes. If you look at this picture, this was me going to Ecuador in February of 2024. And as you can see, these people have this plane trashed. They have trash on the floor. They don't seem concerned about picking it up. And think about the crew that's coming in there after that has to come in there and clean this mess up. This is something that I don't care for. I don't like. I actually have plastic bags in my backpack that I take with me on the plane. That's my small bag that I put under my seat. I also have, or sometimes I use the, I guess that's the vomit bag that they have in back of the seat of the plane. I use that sometimes, and I put trash in that as well because I want to be responsible for keeping my area tidy. And when I now deboard from that plane, they can't say that the person who's sitting in 3F was nasty because she kept all her trash in one spot and has disposed of it while she's leaving the plane. So I mean, but this everyone doesn't think like this, and everyone doesn't act like this. So you have to be prepared that people are going to leave a plane trash. I've went on numerous trips to Europe, and by the time they land on that plane, you see pillows, blankets, trash just strewn about, thrown all over the place. I mean, I can't deal with it. I don't like it. Thank God I'm not the cleaning crew because I would have been screaming. So that's just how it is. The only thing you can do is control what you do, and that is being as tidy as possible and keeping your trash contained in one area and disposing of it when you get off the plane. I'm sure the flight attendants and the cleaning crew will really appreciate it. So that's my 4th annoyance about how people just trash and totally trash these planes when they're on them. My 3rd annoyance is something that I've mentioned in the last video, but I think it bears mentioning again, and that is crying babies. Oh my God. The plane is already loud with the engine roaring. Then you have conversation going on around you. The flight attendants mixing up, doing their business. And to add to all that, crying babies. Oh my God. I mentioned in my last video that I once had a baby cry all the way from one destination to the next. So I was coming from Chicago and I was coming to the Southwest. And this baby cried all the way from Chicago, all the way to my destination in the Southwest. It was not pleasant. Thank God I had my headphones in and they were functional and I could kind of muffle out the crying. But that's not always the case, especially if you don't have noise cancellation headphones. So I really suggest that if you can, to invest into it. And a little bonus, I actually got a pair of noise canceling headphones. I cannot wait to use them. They're brand new. I actually got these from work. I was a good employee and they gave me an opportunity to go to the store and I went in there and looked and see what I wanted or I could use. And I chose these noise canceling headbuds. I'm so excited to use them. I cannot wait. I haven't even opened them yet. They're still packaged as you can see. However, there are noise cancellation. It's by JBL. And I know because I use JBL. I have a speaker by JBL and it gives good quality. So I'm looking forward to this. And they also say that it's actively noise cancellation. So I can't wait to use this. If there's a baby on my next flight that I'm about to get ready to take soon, I'm going to be using these to try to dismiss that noise because I can't stand it. I don't know why the mothers or the parents don't try to calm their baby or do something with them, but I've seen and heard stories about babies crying from one destination to the next and mixing up. That is something I cannot stand, but I can't be helped. Like I said, some of these instances can be helped and it can't be helped. So that's something to keep in mind also when you're on a flight, that babies may possibly be crying and it is annoyance, but you have to do what you have to do. All we want to do at the core of everything is to make sure that we get to our destination safe and peace of mind and in one piece. You don't want to be upset when you're traveling because it throws everything off. So if you want to, make sure that you invest into some noise canceling headphones and try to muffle out the noise. Sometimes too, going to sleep helps if that's something that you want to do, especially if you have a flight that may be 6 hours or longer. You may want to take a nap, but otherwise that's something we can't help, the crying babies. So that's my third annoyance on a flight, are the crying babies. My second annoyance on the flight is something that you may have encountered if you ever flew before. I'm not sure, but it is, for me, the cranky flight attendants. There are some times I'm on a flight and I'm scared to even ask them a question because they just like lash out at you. And I'm like, I'm just asking a question. Why are you acting like this? But I try to also have compassion. I understand that they're busy. They're on their feet. People requesting things, nagging them, harassing them. And I know that it's a request, but nonetheless, to them, it could be an annoyance. And so for me, when I'm asking for something, I don't want you trying to bite my head off. I'm just asking a question. So I try not to really nag them or even bother them too much. So I do require a seatbelt extender. And so when I board my plane, I request right then and there if I can have a seatbelt extender. Now, sometimes they say, oh, just go ahead and be seated and we'll bring it to you. But sometimes they may forget and I have to remind them. But if I can get it when I first boarding, I'll go ahead and get it because I don't want to annoy them. They're dealing with putting up people's luggage. They're dealing with trying to get people settled in and making them comfortable. And some people, as you already probably know, cannot be pleased. And that's a hard job to do. So I try not to hit my call light for nothing. I try not to bother them at all because they can be cranky at times and I just don't want to bother them. But shout out to Air France. I'm sorry. As of right now, although I'm a Southwest girl, Air France is like my number one top airline. Shout out to Air France. The flight attendants on Air France have been some of the nicest flight attendants I ever come across. They talk to you so sweet, ma'am. What do they call it, mademoiselle? Can I get you something else? Blah blah blah. Just really nice. I've always had a good experience on Air France thus far. Knock on wood. However, I don't know about all the other airlines. I want to give every one of them a fair chance. I haven't been able to do that yet. But right now, as this today, Air France is my top airline when I'm going back and forth to France. So shout out to Air France. But besides that, that's just something you have to manage with sometimes. The flaky crank, the cranky flight attendants. I don't know if I should even tell you about my worst one. I'm gonna spare y'all. If you're interested in knowing what's my worst flight experience, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. I will tell you. But right now, as far as this video is concerned, I'm going to spare you that. But I love Air France, so shout out to Air France. And that's my number 2 annoyance, is the cranky flight attendants. And here's my number 1 annoyance on the plane. If you ever sat at the wing of the plane, you will notice, you will see, if you look out your window, the luggage handlers. My number 1 annoyance on the plane is how those luggage handlers handle your luggage. I've seen them beat up people's luggage, like throwing them, shuffle them around. I mean, it's just like some of these luggage really take a beating. I've had 2 luggage prior to the one I have now that was cracked up in transit, and I'm still trying to figure out. One was cracked and the other one had the wheel came off, and I was like, how do y'all manage to break up a luggage like this? So what I did after that, I said, I have to get me some durable, sturdy luggage. And so I decided to go to Samsonite and buy me some luggage. So first I made a trip to Arizona, and I went to a Samsonite store in Arizona, but they didn't have the luggage that I wanted there. So I jumped online and I found a 2-piece luggage set. I have a carry-on and I have a faux on-side luggage. And I've had them now for about 2 or 3 years, and right now, thank God, they're still functional. They have some scratches and scrapes because I have them right here in my living room because I'm packing for my next flight, my next vacation. They have some scratches on them, but everything is still intact. The wheels are still intact. There's no cracks. The zippers are functional. Everything is working. But those luggage handlers, honey, if you don't check them, they will tear your stuff up. People have told me to make a report to the airline. I mean, I've never done it before. So far, my luggage is holding up, so I'm good. But please be mindful, these luggage handlers do not handle your luggage with care. If you have anything in there that's breakable, you want to wrap it real good before you put it in your luggage, because it's a possibility that it could be broken. Or you want to go ahead and just keep it on your person, because you don't know what's the outcome going to be when you get to your final destination. When I last was to France over the winter holiday, I bought a bottle of wine for my aunt. And so thank God that when they prepared the wine, they packaged it. When they packaged it, they put it in the box. They wrapped it first in plastic, then they put it in the box, and then they put it in a bag so it can hold up. And this wine has to go through a couple of destinations before I get it to her. So I'm grateful that they did it. But from what I see so far, the wine is still intact. So yeah, that's something you got to think about. Also, another story too. I remember one time I was going on a vacation. I can't remember where I was going now. And I was sitting at the wing of the plane. And I noticed that the luggage handlers had my luggage standing out. And I was like, that is my luggage. What's going on? So I ran to the flight attendant. That's one time I did annoy her. I did annoy her this time. I was like, that is my luggage. What's going on? Well, come to find out, I have an alarm in my luggage, in my check luggage, and it went off. They didn't know if it was a bomb. They don't know what it was. and I had to tell them what time it was. So they escorted me off the plane to check the luggage, and I had to take the battery out of it. The flight attendant said they had an idea what it was, but they wasn't 100% certain. And I'm grateful that they didn't snatch me off the plane, arrest me, ask all these questions, had me miss my flight. It could have been awful with that. And thank God, the Southwest flight attendant, she did let me handle that situation. I explained to them that it was an alarm, it was the battery that was an alarm, and they must be triggered to make it go off. And so that was scary in itself right there. And I've always make sure I take the batteries out of all my alarms before I travel, because I don't want to have that issue happening again. So that's it with the luggage thing. So be mindful that when you have these luggage, whether it's the soft luggage or the shell luggage, I had to actually go invest into the shell luggage, because I was afraid of having the soft ones anymore, because they just handle them so roughly. I mean, throwing them, stacking them, it's just a horrible mess. I've seen how they done it, and I don't like it. So that's my first annoyance, is how the luggage handlers handle your luggage. So you want to be mindful of that when you are traveling or flying, that your luggage is not being handled with care. As a matter of fact, you can also, at the check-in, you can also request a fragile sticker, so they can try to be careful with your luggage. I know Southwest puts that on my luggage, but I can't guarantee you they're going to still treat your luggage with care. But you can request a sticker to put on their fragile on your luggage, and maybe perhaps that will deter them from roughing up your luggage. But I can't guarantee anything, and nor can you, nor can the airline either. So those are some things to keep in mind. These could be annoyances for you or someone else. And those annoyances, again, are last minute delays, how people trash planes, crying babies. Oh my God, the crying babies. Cranky flight attendants, and how the luggage handlers handled your luggage. Yep, just keep those things in mind when traveling, and just be, prepared to deal with those things. And I'm also interested, what's your annoyance of flights? I want you to leave a comment in the comment section, because there's a whole lot of them. This is just the top 5 for me, but I'm sure you got there are other ones floating around out there, and I would like to hear about them. And I'm sure I'm probably going to agree with you also when you leave those comments in the comment section. So that is it for today. Hopefully I can crank out some more content pretty more sooner than later. But in the meantime, make sure again that you like and subscribe to this channel, and make sure that you share this content with someone who may find it entertaining or take a liking to it, to make sure that, my name and my channel gets out there. I really appreciate it. Until next time, may God bless and take care.